and the records of my Akashic sessions. So just for me as a kind of record keeping, and for you, for those that are interested. So today I was looking at what questions I wanted to elaborate on where we'd been in the previous sessions, but I also asked specifically about the Black Cat Guardian Order, which kind of corroborated what was coming through from on my own level. So one, definitely there a guardian energy presence and a sacred space. It was more a congregation shown of as church with a stained glass window. And what was coming through was that they're helping me kind of like jump through the hoops, jump through the rings. And I need to ask about the rings, but what came to mind when she was talking about jumping through the hoops, it was getting through these kind of intergalactical space levels, if you like, of where the soul is heading. But they liked that, or they're helping their Pacific species. Though I was sensing more a link to the Lyran Council of Time, we went in sort of an offshoot of that went back to Atlantis. But the Black Cat Guardian Order themselves are a species, an energy, but they aren't necessarily physical or present. They're both kind of between. They're dimensional beings, and that kind of made sense in the fact that what I see them as, this holding space, sacred space, and like for energy if someone astro projects and such. So they are helping because they not worship, but they are inspired by this energy that my soul is embodying. And what was shown was, I thought she was like talking about some kind of goddess at first, but she was saying it's like through this stained glass, the images of this embodiment of the divine feminine in its highest form, and me as a soul in front of it. So I am embodying that. Therefore, that's why they're helping me to embody that, to grow from that, to be in the highest form of that, because it's to keep the, as I say, not going up through the levels, but not as in higher, lower. It's more a kind of levels of progression through an evolutionary, is the way I was seeing it, that I interpreted it. So there was that part. Then I had asked about what the Lyran Council of Time, and whether they were part of that, and that's when this energy of the embodiment came through, creation energy, but it was very high crown chakra energy that was coming down, and kind of in class I've been working with these rings are being shown, so that kind of felt like that's to do with the Lyran Council of Time. And then I asked about my soul contract with them, and then we kind of branched off. She said yes, yes, there was the connection, yes, that's what I'm connecting to. And the answer, I asked if this was in relation the soul contract to Atlantis, because obviously when we spoke about the royal house, I kind of wanted to go into that life a little bit, but we branched into a different light. So it was where I was in my soul form that was linked to Lyran Council question, and then we went down into a lifetime within Atlantis of a little boy on a rocking horse, where basically his whole life was crushed. In the home was very, very safe and beautiful, loving energy, but externally there was a very toxic masculine kind of energy, and he died quite hard. We're going to go into that and elaborate, because there are sort of scars within the other lifetime in Atlantis where I was from the royal house, and in that lifetime the princess, or the royal house that I was part of, she was very bogged down with the scars from the previous life. It was quite close, obviously, in time. And the little boy's throat, he died hard, throat was slit. So and she, when I was asking about like karmic debt or sort of soul contracts there, she didn't have complete blood on her hands, because she was kind of caught up in this, linked to that past life and dealing with the karmic emotional response from that. But she was cloistered a lot, and one of her chief advisors was a devious, horrific energy, of which, like she said, like really laser sharp teeth kind of creature. And he used people, disposed of people, killed people, was very corrupt, and that went on all underground. He was almost like a mafiosa type energy that was happening under her without her knowing. So she has like or her soul has this pinprick of blood there, but not, so she wasn't responsible. It wasn't her that did it, but it still happened on her watch. So there is still a little bit of these stitches that are, and I sort of see them as stitches through times of these little healings that I'm working through under karmic solution. But some of the things that were coming through while she was talking and sharing was that these are these rings, these are these links through time. In another meditation that had come through where I'd felt responsible, this sense of responsibility that I have that weighs on me, in this regal sense of when I was in power, and why, because the little boy was killed, his throat was slit for money, purely for money, have this dislike of abuse of power and money that has, or money in a sense of this exchange of power in a corrupt way. Why I feel so strongly that that is sort of a bad thing. So I asked relationships with the two royal houses. The links were, obviously she weighed heavy on that. They wanted to go into more, and obviously we ran out of time. What was the other thing I asked about? So there was the guardianship, what were within Atlantis. So it wasn't just one lifetime, there was many lifetimes. By the sounds of it, she went into that Pacific one and into the last one that we went into for the princess, because she, or that aspect of myself, or that we're going to, had that need. She didn't really want her responsibility. Part of her wanted to take the crown off, as we said in the last session, but she kept it on because she knew she had to. I don't know if she's related to the memory that I have of drowning, and we didn't go into the drowning as well, and my murder in another context, in one life where I was deliberately drowned. But there was definitely the different 12 houses, of which she said that my blood was linked to all 12. The spot was linked to all 12. And then there was this other bit where we went down from the cloud into, symbolically, into this lifetime with the little boy, and the symbol of the, as I say, the horse of trampling. It was kind of like a corruptive outside influences that were trashing this sacred ness. So yeah, links to that past. So I'll leave it at that. I was trying to think, was there anything else that we sparked on? With regards to the black cat, I went back to the linking of soul contracts, and whether I had that with the Lyran Council of Time, and it was a yes. So all of my things that have been coming through are definitely there, and it's linked to these higher levels, these rings and this hoop, almost like a space station she was describing, that is a whole, like I was saying, like a holding space. It's between dimensionally, between, as I sort of wait, because she was saying she's the only human there, with these black cats that are like huge, and there was lots of them. It's just not one. It is an energy essence that is a multiple unity consciousness, but also a physical presence, can be both. And I was feeling a sense of, they were like warriors, but they don't kill as such. They're protective in nature, and that is the link to like almost like the leopard, like a black cat leopard here. That's what they look like in my mind, but that's what my mind creates as a form. They're more than that, and obviously that embodiment of the feminine is what they not worship but are inspired by, and why they're helping me, because in this lifetime I'm embodying, I think when I'd asked before, my soul purpose was to embody, I think I was like, really, how am I meant to do that? It was to be an embodiment of the divine goddess on earth here as a living being. And I'm like, how do I do that in an everyday life? That's kind of a bit like, sure, that's not ego, and I've like questioned it, but now I'm seeing what they mean. It's to embody those traits, to inspire others to embody those traits, to hold that as an anchor, because we started off with my purpose. So in order to do that, you have to have that in the highest. So it's very linked to the crown chakras, but grounding it in the physical. So I'm seeing that there's these little stitches that need to be healed from these Atlantean lifetimes. It goes quite back, quite far by the sounds of it, with regards to my dislike of abundance and in its negative, toxic forms of corruption and power, with regards to what we would refer to as money. It wasn't money in such, it was exchange on a corrupt level of power, is how I read that. So there is a fear when there is power, that there is, even if I am not corruptible, that those around me use my power and my influence, and still there can be corruption. So in order to stay in a pure form of heart, what was coming through is that we need to still see beyond that, because obviously when you do for the Akashic, you need to go beyond the judgment of that. So that was a lesson to learn, to understand how power can corrupt, so that in this lifetime, to hold power, you need to be uncorruptible, because absolute power can corrupt. Having that awareness means you don't see it as power, you see it as service, you see it as embodiment, you see it from a different perspective, from this higher perspective, and that's why they're willing to help me, which is really lovely to hear. So that was really nice, even despite those horrible things of the little boy and how he died, and he died hard. It's also why in some of my subconscious dreams of asking where this has kind of happened, where I've remote viewed with things that aren't so nice, that's why my frequency goes there, because obviously and why I feel very protective of my son. So that is also why I can be his guardian, to help him transcend his own past life hurts in that way. So there's my quick update and my little thing. Have a beautiful day, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the workshop. I know it's like 2 hours, and then the updated one I want to do for you as a practice for my session on the 1st of December. So you'll have more of a vision board workshop related to the 1111 energy, which is still here up until the 14th, and hoping you're enjoying it, all the revelations that are coming to pass for you. I shall enjoy my darling's birthday today and partying this week and stuff. So there's lots going on. There's still very fast energy happening at the moment. So even Kira was saying the same. Be the calm in your own chaos. Is very, very helpful for you to have your anchored practice. And I think, like for me, it's been 5-minute practices of connecting with breath, feeling the sun, doing little things. Obviously, I did a workout at the beginning of the week that you can use, and I'll do ones rather than me doing loads and there'll be hours and hours of video content for each of you. I'm doing short ones that you can repeat, and practice those things that I talk about in each of the meditations and the class. So blessings for your day. Thank you guys for listening on my I Am journey.